intelligence from all the sources, and they have files and files, some clippings from various newspapers, what authors, various authors' rights. Therefore, if you're an author, for example, that's on cutting edge in this room right now, and you're divinely inspired and the Creator's giving you blessings, and then you begin to write and you put out your information, no doubt that information is going to end up in a CIA file somewhere or an MI6 file, and that will then help to determine what their response strategy is going to be. So I was now following anthrax. I had files on anthrax for years and saw some really suspicious things when the FDA, in an unprecedented maneuver, selected Cipro, Bayer Corporation. Bayer, of course, was one of the founding organizations for IG Farben, Germany's leading industrial organization that, for all practical purposes, was the Third Reich. Top SS were directed by Schmitz, Hermann Schmitz, who owned more shares of Rockefeller stock than any of the Rockefellers did individually. So anyway, Bayer, Aspirin Corporation, here you see the Bayer logo. You see the Bayer logo? You think it's a coincidence that it's a red cross? Okay? And the original Bayer symbol was a lion, which is the royalty's symbol, with its paw over the globe. Okay? That's a mistake. That's just a coincidence. There's nothing conspiracy-oriented about that. So, Bayer, I saw FDA unprecedented of all the antibiotics to combat anthrax. I mean, you could kill anthrax with garlic for virtually pennies. Doxycycline, tetracycline, all of those, for pennies you could get rid of anthrax. They chose to endorse the deadliest of all antibiotics, never been tested on people less than 18 years of age, had a horrific level of side effects, and the most expensive thing, it was ridiculous, a 60-day supply was $700. So I saw that already. It was about 2 years before this scam. I then was watching television, I think it was around September 27th. Of course, September 11th, 2 weeks later, right? September 11th, attack in America. 2 weeks later now I'm watching ABC News with Peter Jennings, who is a counterintelligence propagandist infiltrated from Canada, who says to American public, ends his Wednesday night broadcast, this quote: "Tomorrow we're going to go into anthrax. We're going through your fears, one by one, day by day. Good night." End quote. I kid you not. Get it? Look it up. You know, that wasn't as startling, though, as Tom Brokaw, 2 weeks later, holding up a bottle of Cipro on national, news, prime time, with the backdrop, get the segment, New World Order, holding up Cipro saying, "In Cipro we trust." Kid you not, it's reality. So I contacted, after I saw Peter Jennings that night, knowing all this, I contacted my FBI. Kevin Dunton in Coeur d'Alene. Of course, FBI in northern Idaho is very active. Why? Because all my Jewish friends back on the East Coast say, "What are you, nuts? A Jew moving to northern Idaho? Don't you know there are Nazis there?" I tell them, of course, somebody's got to go keep an eye on them, So the bottom line is, the real Nazis that we have in northern Idaho are like the pawns. The movers and the shakers live in the high rises of New York and Berlin. They were the ones who fund the Looney Tunes, that maybe a dozen of them in northern Idaho, that gets the national press. Okay? So we have a guy, we do have one of the world's leading Nazis in our area. It's a neighbor of mine up there who I royally exposed in the book Death in the Air. His name is Klaus Gronke, good friend of Henry Kissinger's. Okay? We royally exposed him. But, and he deserved it. I mean, on his front yard, he's got SS, 666, that it's like a windmill. When the wind shifts, the S's have like little pivots they cross over, forming two Nazi swastikas, or two double X's. And this is on a front yard. So yeah, he just lays it right out in front of your eyes. So at any rate, and by the way, when I exposed that fellow, at the same time I exposed Ian Fleming's series of novels being, the 007 novels being counterintelligence propaganda, royally, because it was the View to a Kill. You remember that video, View to a Kill now? Go get it someday. Look at it, because it's true. The story is about Maxim Corporation, M-A-X-X-A-M, Maxim, double X in the middle, as again, 66. Like Phillips 66, Route 66, America's highway, At any rate, I'm not going to go into that. It's a different presentation. But I called the FBI. I called Kevin Dunton. I got that. Kevin Dunton, FBI agent, not in command, but I think second in charge of the Coeur d'Alene office, very active in seeking out Nazis. And I said, you've got an anthrax scam unfolding in the United States right now, the origin of which relates to the Bayer Corporation, Hermann Schmitz et al. And his progeny, directors of that company, which essentially is intimately linked to the Nazis you've been investigating. You better get on this. I didn't hear from them. So the next day, Thursday, I drove down to Coeur d'Alene. I marched into the FBI office, and I delivered a copy of the book Death in the Air along with a paper that I wrote for him to immediately alert every single FBI agents at the highest levels. Get on this. This is important. Folks, that was one whole week before the first anthrax mailing was announced in the press. I beat it by a week. In fact, the day that I made the call was the day that it was mailed from Trenton, New Jersey, and a secondary one was mailed from overseas. So you would think, given that intelligence, that they would come to me